Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Hockey Journey Podcast, episode number 157, Dodge County High School Girls Hockey Becoming Champions, with head coach Jeremy Gunderson. Presented to you by onlinehockeytraining.com. I'm your host, Coach Lance Pitlick. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe so you won't miss out on any future episodes. I can't tell you how excited I am for this interview. First, because I didn't think I could get him on the show so soon after what just happened a few short days ago. Second, because it's a story about having a vision, working a plan, being patient and persistent, experiencing some heartache, only to finally get to the top of the mountain. But before we dive in, if you want to learn more about me, my hockey experiences, what I know, and most importantly, how I've been helping hockey players get really good with a stick and puck, just head over to onlinehockeytraining.com. That's onlinehockeytraining.com and gain instant access to my 10-part video series where I'll show you everything. Consider it my gift to you. Lastly, if you live in Minnesota or are visiting the state of hockey sometime soon and you want to schedule an in-person off-ice stick skills lesson, I'd love to have the opportunity to show you my little world. Go to sweethockeycoach.com, that's sweethockeycoach.com, and watch the video on the homepage for instructions. Thanks, and I look forward to working with you sometime soon. Today we're talking about the amazing evolution of the Dodge County Girls High School Hockey Program and how they just made history. The guy who's been at the helm of the ship for over 500 games as head coach has experienced every emotion a squad could go through. The last two seasons for this group had the two extremes, the agony of defeat a year ago, and most recently, the thrill of a bittersweet victory. I can't wait any longer, so we're cutting this short. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you first-time state champion head coach of the Dodge County Girls High School Hockey Team, Jeremy Gunderson. Mr. Gunderson, welcome to the Hockey Journey Podcast.
Hey, you got me fired up. Let's go, right? That was awesome. It's great to be on here, Lance. I appreciate it. Like I said, you and I have talked a lot over the years. It takes a tribe to make what we did here, and excuse me, they had a lot of help on the way and great training, and like guys like yourself have really helped us with your training products and program have done a ton to help these kids get what they're at now today. So.
Well, we're going to get all to that stuff, but, you know, have you leveled out yet, or is your head still in the clouds? Like, you're going out to lunch. I mean, is it just beers, for...
Yeah. No, I actually had to work at luncheon, so I wish, but, I think we went to McGovern's afterwards, and the whole team and parents and administration was a good celebration, but I'm kind of still confused because after coaching so long, you always have to end with tears of the sad and loss. We'll get them next year. And this year it's, going out as a winner. It's just odd that the season feels like you still have another game ahead, so.
You didn't have your championship speech written before the game?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, no. I actually was teasing Johnny Pohl at the banquet saying, you guys want to play Friday? Because I feel like we still need another game yet. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first girls high school team south of the Twin Cities metro area to win a state championship. The only other time a Southern hockey team won a state championship was on the boys' side. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. John Marshall in 1977 and the Red Wings in 1997?
Yeah, Red Wing in 97 and the Jam team in 77. So it's been not a lot of hardware, so we're proud to bring one back down the south. So.
Oh, it's so cool. I coached for 17 years, and most of them were in Wayzata. And, the one thing that on player development and the coaches committee, how can we get to be like, Grand Rapids, War Road, Edina, all these teams at Minnetonka that win consistently. And, I remember one guy saying, well, you got to get to the state tournament, to kind of create that buzz with the younger kids. But when you win it, there you got your golden torch that everyone will start looking up to. So you guys you accomplished something that is amazing, and I want to hear how you got there. But before we get to all that and me pumping your tires like everyone else has been doing since the Saturday, how I like to start each episode is for you to rewind the tape and let's just go back and let's see how you developed first before you got your coaching job. Look in the rearview mirror and go back to the beginning. Tell us where you grew up. What was your childhood like? Your introduction to hockey and other sports, and then kind of work up to when you get. I think you went to Duluth, so till when you get to college, and then we'll transition to how you got into coaching. But what the heck was it like growing up, Jeremy Gunderson?
Yeah, pretty average life, right? I mean, I grew up in Northwest Rochester, where we're like a lot of the rink rat and kids that play outside all the time. So my introduction to hockey, I think, is kind of like I'm 50 now, right? So our generation grew up outside all the time, right? Come in when the street lights come on, always play sports up to that point, and then you got to get inside before you get in trouble if that street light came on, right? So we would play street hockey, tackle football on the road, baseball on the streets, right? And three sport athlete. It was always kind of continuous, right? Went football season to hockey season to baseball, and then you mix them all up in the summer, and your buddies would always play outdoor ice in the winter after practice. And I still get a chuckle all those parents, right? Oh, they had practice today, so they're gonna be tired. I'm like, man, we had games and we go play boot hockey with the fans after games, or still go
Yeah.
outside. So just a little generational time. So grew up, went to John Marshall, played my sports at Rochester John Marshall. Went to Duluth afterwards. Played junior hockey up there for the Voyagers for Mike Antonovich. Had a blast. And then after finishing up at Duluth, got my college degree, came back, got hired to work down here and back at home, and started coaching actually on the boys side. So with our rink manager, Steve Howarth, and the Dodge County boys hockey program. Since I got back, he was like, hey, since you're not doing anything, besides having a real job now and you're done playing days, why don't you come and help out? And that's kind of where I got back into the coaching in around Dodge County. So
You kind of sped through that pretty fast. I'm okay with that. I can rewind the tape for you, but I always get what I want. So just hang in there. I want to go back, so you're playing all these sports, and I'm sure that there's, someone in your group, maybe it was you that was kind of the star, but did you have any desire to play college sports? Out of the three that you played, were you close? Did you talk a little bit about that? Because I don't even know. Did you play sports
yeah,
at Duluth?
no, I ended up not playing at Duluth. I played juniors up there for the Voyagers for 2 years up there with that program, and after that, it's a reality check of how big and strong guys are, right? So it's a different world, up there at the time, and you had like Erickson, Plant, and all those guys that were up there, so they're a different caliber of playing, that era. So um, but again, I think my better sport was probably kind of baseball coming around, but I just didn't have the passion for it, right? You kind of see ball, hit ball, and run, and so it was two. I think a lot of one person type of stuff, right? So I think hockey's always been more of a bigger passion of mine. So
So you started out coaching with the boys. Uh, so let's start there. First off, what drew you to coaching? I mean, I know that it was kind of presented to you. It wasn't like you were chasing it, or were you chasing it? But then how did you transition to the girls? Did you have a kid that started playing, or it just kind of evolved to that?
yeah, I got a little taste of coaching in high school. I helped a guy by the name of Terry Myers. He's still in the area. He was coaching the Bantam team when I was in high school, and asked if I could help out a little bit. And it was pretty fun, right? You kind of saw the game from a different perspective, and then you do on the ice, right? Sitting back and then just communicate with kids and seeing them how they grew, and it was kind of fun to see what you could bring to the table to help them get better. So that was like my first taste of it. And then, like I said, when I came back, Steve Howarth was our rink manager and was coaching the boys program. So I came out as an assistant coach. They were pretty raw group. There was a couple really good individual kids, but they didn't really have any much depth. It was kind of the newer days of the program, and so it was fun to work with some of those better kids that you could really kind of help bring them to the side and help them grow and develop. And After coaching with the boys for several years, I had daughters. I had two daughters, and my oldest, I was coaching her all the way through the termites and supermites and going into U12. The girls' position opened up, and uh, at this time, my oldest Emily had talked a lot of how she was going to continue to play, and she enjoyed the sport. So I ended up coaching the youth program, girls, and the high school program, so we could start laying a foundation and change the culture. And once they came to high school, they were in a good spot to play. Plus, I want to spend time with my own kids. So
So you were doing both. You switched over to the girls' high school team, but you were also coaching your other daughter at the youth level as well as a head coach or an assistant.
both, yep, head coach doing both, yep,
Oh
U12s
wow.
and yeah, and our U12 team was made up of like 7 and 8 year old girls. Majority played U12s, and then coaching the high school program.
Let's talk about what year was this? How long ago was this? Because it's not like it was yesterday, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, 2006. What,
2006. Holy cow, it's almost 20 years.
yeah, yep, that was my first year. Yeah, so now my oldest is 28, and she's married and has I'm a grandpa, so that's definitely getting back there in days now. So
Yeah. So as you took on those two endeavors, and I feel for you. I mean, it's not easy coaching, being a head coach of two teams. Uh, did it with both of my boys for a period of time, but there just comes a time where you just can't, you don't have enough time to be effective for either one. You got to focus on one. But what what did you kind of get into place? You kind of mentioned it that you wanted to create that connection with the youth program, with the high school program. As you start knitting together your spider web, what were some important key things that you and other coaches in that program were trying to get into place? Key things that maybe weren't in place before you started to discuss the master plan. What was the big vision too?
yeah, the big vision was was right away baby steps. I mean, I thought the our uniform colors at high school were brutal, right? So we went from this the really kind of the avalanche off color set of the older maroon and colors to where we're at now with like a royal blue, black, and white. We had to change the culture of the high school from kids that, hey, we're used to not winning to trying to build a winning mindset. We went to have kids actually how to train and actually try to put together an off season because they were kind of basically it's almost like youth beer league, in a way like men's league. Show up and you skate, you play, and nobody really cares about winning and losing and having good times, right? So we had to kind of focus on the culture as well as behavior, right? We had to make sure our kids were that group started doing better off the classroom, community service, academically better. So we kind of did a little shock and awe. I think we had to get rid of a couple players who didn't want to buy into the work ethic or following rules, right? So we kind of made an impact by at the high school level getting rid of a couple of those bad eggs that you call them nowadays. And at the youth level, it was about building a culture of like numbers, right? So the more kids you have, you can start have competition, and competition makes kids work hard. So we really put a lot of time into going to parades, handing out flyers, learn to skate. We created a hockey buddy program where a youth player would be mentored by a high school player, so that kids would start learning like what flex stick you need and what camps to go to, and just having a direct pipeline to a player who's been there, done that, to help these younger kids. Because we get inundated with phone calls nonstop, like what skate do you get? How do you buy skate sizes? Or what's a flex of a stick? I mean, everything was fresh because we're not really a hockey hotbed with former players living down in Dodge County as far as hockey players. So a lot of these people were fresh to the sport completely. Their parents, grandparents, siblings, everything. So
What did you So there's just so much in that. I want to give everyone a little perspective of what you're dealing with here. So I live in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I don't know if it was the biggest youth hockey association in the United States when I was coaching there, Wyzetta. I mean, over 12, 1,300 players. I don't know, it was over 1,000 in the whole youth hockey program. On average, what does a Southern Minnesota Youth Hockey Association have for members?
Our youth total boys and girls is 200 with
200.
mites included. Yep, everything.
And
Bantams
that,
down to 3 mites. Yep.
so you don't have a lot. If someone gets sick or moves
No.
away, you know,
Yeah.
you might not be able to play that sport that year, if someone doesn't move
Exactly.
in. Uh,
Yeah, we started off, Lance, with just I think I had 15 or 14 high school girls total and 11 U12 girls total. That was in '06 for Dodge County youth and high school hockey. So less than 30 total girls from high school through youth.
so this is what this guy, everyone out there listening, is dealing with in, the mid early 2000s, when a bunch of these people got together and say, "Hey, let's do this." I mean, girls hockey, it had only been going around. I mean, when did it start? 1995, I think, in Minnesota. Is that the somewhere
That
around
sounds about
there?
accurate. Yeah, it sounds accurate.
So, a decade into this, uh, as you progress and you get some years in and you start making some adjustments, adding, deleting, what were some of the most, I guess, significant things that you guys down there did where you saw a noticeable change? Like what were some of the first things that you started seeing from what you implemented early on?
Well, I think the first thing was, obviously just getting numbers, right? You got excited when Learn to Skate kicked off and you saw like, hey, there's like 12 girls out here. This is awesome, right? Like that was, the small things that you now take for granted were like, huge rushes back then. As far as the high school team, that team was going for years over to when it started to like Wyndham, Worthington. They were getting beat by 10, but by 10 run by those Southwest teams. So when I took over, we just implemented a lot of just kind of basic concepts and systems and played to our strengths, right? So we started beating some of these teams like Wyndham and Worthington, and you're like, well, hey, this is awesome. These guys got crushed by these guys prior to now we're actually beating some of these teams. And so the progression was every year uh, getting a better schedule. Even now, just like I'm still doing now, 18 years later. Like, hey, every year we got to get a stronger schedule and play tougher opponents. So it's taken a long time, but like I said, those early years were like Laverne, Worthington, Fairmont, Wyndham, Marshall. Those we were playing a lot of that. We called it the long trek on I-90 stretch going west. So which now we really don't play that direction anymore, and kind of evolved now to really try to focus on a metro schedule. So
When did you stop coaching the youth and then just went to high school?
let's see, seventh, eighth. I still stayed always helping. I was head coach for I think 3, 4 years, and then I would still go back and help as much as I could because I had a younger daughter too coming through the ranks, and I would say I was for sure done when my oldest was in seventh. She came to high school, so at that point I was just kind of more of a helping role.
Okay. Um, when do you, I tried to go back to find emails and stuff, but I had an old email address. But did we first meet at the Minnesota High School Expo? Is that where we
Yeah,
first met?
yeah,
I had a booth down there,
yeah. Had a booth
and
down there, and I met you once before. Sean Podine's a good buddy of mine, so we had met kind of prior to, just out and about one time
okay,
before that.
yeah. But I remember, I don't remember the podium, but I remember we had a booth down at the expo there, and you came back several times, and you were just curious, and I remember it because that you were just an energy source. I wanted to tap into you because there was so much enthusiasm. He says we got something really cool going on down in southern Minnesota, and I think that what you guys got going on, we can bring this down there and introduce it to the program and the girls down there. So, uh, how important do you think that introducing these kids, because you're and let me just I'll tell the people what you've been doing, and then this has been for, I mean, you've been coaching for 18 years, I think.
Yeah.
This has been for at least a decade, where you run a summer clinic for, I don't know if it's girls and boys, if it was back then, but I know it's the girls, and you provide training for them during the summer, but you also gave them the ability to have access to my online program so they could get additional hours in at home. So you put that in. You can talk a little bit about that, but what other things did you bring to the table? Because uh, I think you have, over your coaching career, you have put over 40 girls into college hockey. And you always said that if someone has the desire to play past high school, you want to be able to show them every puzzle piece that's available in order to give them the best opportunity to succeed. And that's what I kind of see that you did over the years, as you just started putting these things out there so they could learn and see and know what they needed if they wanted to take that path.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing as a coach that you learn is, you steal from others what really makes kids great, and you watch those top programs to see what they're kind of doing and mimic what's great, and don't do what's wrong, right? So kind of do the opposite. But yeah, when we met, and the stuff we've done with you has been unreal. So every year we have our youth. I kind of stay, in my own lane with the girls side of things, because you don't want to get other coaches upset that are working with their guys programs, etc. So we just stay specifically to all the youth, and we open it up our camps for all the girls in southern Minnesota, not just Dodge County kids, and as well as the high school level. So we run our summer program, a lot of skill set. Again, I'm a big believer in that European style, like that 3-4 ratio of practice to games, and that you get better not through all these AAA games, but it's through the skill and development training like you guys have in place. And I've never heard a coach tell a kid that they're too fast, their shots too hard, or their hands are too good, right? So
Yeah.
you never hear anybody say that to a kid. So we tell all of our kids that we want them to work. I mean, this is your application is web based, so there's no excuse, right? You tape off your shooting area. It's all done from your basement. Very good price point, and there's no excuse you shouldn't come back every year. Getting better. And we use the analogy of like Madden football, right? So if your hands are a 6, you should come back at least a 7 or 8 next year, right? So
Yeah.
on your profile, if you're putting the work in, these programs are going to get you better. And I know all my kids that have been doing the work in the off season, and doing the program and following the process, the stick handling and shooting, that they've all have gotten better, and definitely by playing better competition as well to go max with that. So
A quick word from our sponsor, headsuphockey.ai. The Hockey Journey podcast has a new sheriff in town sponsoring the show, and Coach Lance couldn't be more excited about spreading the love to all of you hockey enthusiasts out there about this new revolutionary stick handling training application powered by AI technology. Michael Fitzgerald and his team over at headsuphockey.ai have absolutely knocked it out of the park with their engaging product that encompasses the majority of the stick skill development sectors like dribbling, faking, cupping, and to me, the most important hockey enhancer of all, and that's vision training. Oh, and did I forget to mention that all of the progress players gain over time using this spectacular device is achieved in a gamification environment, providing performance analytics and data tracking to ensure continuous forward momentum. If interested in picking up a headsuphockey.ai and start the process of separating yourself from the competition, use the code CoachLance at checkout and receive 10% off your developmental investment into yourself. Thank you, Michael Fitzgerald and the headsuphockey.ai team. How long did it take you? Because, one of the things you mentioned as being something you wanted to improve and change from what was in place already is the culture. How long did it take? How many years before you started seeing, the fruit kind of bear on the tree?
A lot of his stuff I think is, when you walk in day one and you start uh, removing players that just quite aren't, being good kids to other kids in the locker room or good people, and you start changing the team colors and you start putting community service into play. I think it was kind of an immediate shock and awe, but even the culture itself, I think every day I always tell the seniors, lay a brick, right? We're building this huge pyramid, and every one of you guys are laying a brick every year as you walk out the door to make us bigger and better. And I think the group that finished second in state last year left their bricks in place, and then so I think our culture just evolves every year, and we get better, at different things, right? Better people, better students, and obviously our team just keeps getting stronger. So again, winning a state championship this year, these guys have really piggybacked of all the bricks that the generations ahead of them laid down to get to the top of that pyramid. So
Yeah. All right, let's start talking about playoff runs because, as I mentioned in the intro, you've had every emotion. You got the last 2 years. You got the bookends of emotions, the agony of defeat, and then the biggest thrill of a victory. Um, Talk about, because that's just the last 2 years. It takes a while, like you said, to build this pyramid, and to get everyone to buy in, and there's going to be some heartache, but you probably had some tough games or finishes to the year where you lost in the to go to state or in the first game. But talk a little bit about that evolution of playoff experience, because they're used to losing, and now you're trying to turn them into believing that we can win any game.
yeah, no, we've had some definitely some very heartbreaking moments in section finals. I mean, we started off our program as small as the numbers are. We were double A forever right away because of the fact that our co-ops were like Pine Island. We grabbed a whole community because just enough to make players. So we had like Pine Island, Dover Yoda. We had Rochester, no, sorry, not Rochester, Byron, Hayfield, Triton, Casa Manorville, Blooming Prairie, you know, so we had like 8 or 9 teams in our co-op, and even though we only maybe had some of the schools we didn't have any kids from, others we had like one kid from, we still were playing double A hockey because of total enrollment, right? So over that period, we had some great teams and we had some rough losses. We had I think 2014, like my daughter's senior year, we lost to Lakeville North, who I think eventually took third that year in that long overtime game against Minnetonka. We would had 2 or 3 Division One kids on that roster. They would, had like 4 or 5. So it just seemed like every time we had that really good group, either Lakeville South, Lakeville North, or Farmington had one more horse better than us, right? So
Oh,
we lost a
yeah.
couple of section finals to in that era to Lakeville North and Lakeville South. One overtime game against South. They were the 1 seed. We lost to those guys, and we had Katie Robinson, who was a top 5 Miss Hockey finalist, played for the U, and before that, we lost to Lakeville North. We had Dana Rasmussen, who was a top 5 Miss Hockey finalist, and played at Ohio State and St. Cloud State. So those were some tough ones, right? Because it seemed like we just didn't have that third line back then. That was always, to me, was like, if we could ever develop a third line that could compete, Dodge County can be dangerous because we always fell off after 2, right? You just couldn't skate that third like the bigger schools. So we had the fortunate in the last 2 years, to kind of get enough kids that we had a very good third line last year and this year, and I think that was a paid dividends, right? So losing that championship game to World last year, we came off that like they had to, right? A battle royale with Orno the day before, and you're kind of beat up, you're tired, and goalie plays a great game, and you have to play the next day, and we learned a lot from that game, and I think that carried over to that the championship this year, and and then Warroad, of course, they had that 3 overtimes with Orno, and as they kept playing, I'm like, man, I can feel their pain because the next day it's hard to come back after a long game like that. So, and all the emotion.
What what was your speech like last year? because we talked a little bit before we started
Yeah.
recording about how you were talking to Johnny Pohl that you feel like you got to play one more game because you haven't you got to have that heartbreak, and this year it didn't happen. Uh,
Right.
what was how did you keep the girls focused after last year? Talk a little bit about that heartbreaking loss and what you talked about them and how you got them to get back on their bike and start pedaling again.
Yeah, we sat in the locker room. I mean, we had the exact same jersey color. We were in the exact same locker room as we were this year against World. So at that game, we sat in there after the game and we let them know that, hey, we were proud of you guys. It's a great season, and it was you know to get here was awesome. And the first time to get up here to get to a championship game just shows how driven and dedicated those kids were. And I had a lot of my underclassmen, kind of pop up right away, say, "Hey, coach, we're coming back, and we want these guys, next year, same stage, right?" They just said they were gonna put the effort in. I said, so we kind of did some goal setting while we sat in the X in that locker room, kind of went around and the kids kind of said, that they want to, kind of talk about their off-season planning already, and that was a great ride, but they had a strong taste and they wanted to come back and win it all. So it's pretty cool to see them kind of take control of the locker room and what they wanted to do to set their goal setting just coming off that loss. So it's kind of crazy, when we got back in the same locker room, same jersey a year later, the same day as the Miracle on Ice, anniversary, we kind of sat there and said, okay, the stage is set, everything you guys wanted, and you had a year to do it. It's here, right? We were in the same white jersey. We were this exact same locker room we were when we lost. It's the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, and it's go time, right? So I think the kids were pretty pumped up because the stage was set. So
Yeah, you did it. Uh, do you get nervous as a coach?
oh yeah, I mean, my coaches rip on me because we can be a 9 goal favorite, and I'm still kind of watch a little bit of video, break down, know the lines, the kids, and tendencies, and they're like, Coach, we should be a 5 6 goal favorite getting off the bus, and why are you getting all worked up? I'm like, because I never take anybody light, right? I don't want to be that guy, and then when you're playing in the game, I mean, there's no worse feeling that 3-1 lead to see it go away in less than a minute, 3-3, and because as an athlete playing, we all know what that does to your mental state, right? So for a coach, it sinks on us as well, just like a player. But you've got to find a way to bring your kids back up and come get off of that downward cycle and get some momentum back. So
So awesome. All right, so you had the meeting, the post-game meeting last year after the loss. I didn't even know that it's the same day. That Saturday was the same day as the Miracle on Ice when the U.S. won the gold. That was the same day.
yeah, yep, that's
How
Saturday.
cool is good stat, whoever found that one. Thank you for that. Uh, so you start going again. Did As you started this season, did it feel different than any other year? Or I mean, because you're always going to be competing to get to state, and you guys set a goal that you want to get there and you want to win it. But going into this season, was there different energy, or you couldn't really tell it at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell that in the off season we were a lot more poised and calm in the summertime coming in. But what really kind of earmarked us early that raised an eyebrow, I'd say, would be the Minnetonka 2-2 tie, right, early in the season, and that kind of is a good gauge of where you're at early, like what our psyche be like in a big game, and how we're going to handle pressure up at Minnetonka, being a good team, and we knew they have a lot of depth, so would our depth be able to skate with their depth, and to come out there in a really good game, back and forth 2-2, kind of really gave everybody the we believe thing, right? Like we can do this thing if we can skate with these guys. We could do a lot with the rest of the year, with this squad. So
Was it business as usual? Did you guys have to get through a couple games to get to the state tournament or to get to the championship game? I didn't watch all your guys' games during the tourney,
yeah.
but did you have some close calls where you had to get through, where some players had to come out of their, overachieve to get out of the game?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, for us to go this year, right? We we kind of had for our first, we had a bye, then we played Winona, and that was, I think, a game that we kind of dressed other kids. It was ended up being, I think, 9-0 or something, but we got a lot of kids in that game and played a lot of kids who had their first touches. Then we had a game with Albert Lee, who was in our section final. Albert Lee beat us. We outshot him 3-1 probably 2 years ago. And then we ended up losing that game in overtime 2 years ago. So that was one of those ones that you learn from it. So I think our kids have been waiting 2 years to play these guys and get them in a section final to get that revenge game, right? So that was a good game to get that loss from 2 years prior in a section final. So that would be a good one. I mean, a big one for our kids at that 4-2 win. And then once at the state tournament, right? Everybody's good. Everybody has to win. That everybody up there has won their way, and nobody's backdoored it, right? They've all been champions of their section, and River Lakes had a really good D1 goalie. She was tough all game, and 20 on their team I know is going to River Falls. They had a great showing, and we beat them 2-0 in the first round, and then I think we really came to play that second game, that Holy Angels game with that 4-1 win was more like our hockey, right? Shots were, I think, 12-4 in the first, 0-0, but we were buzzing and all three lines rolling. And that's kind of what we've done all year, right? So I think for us, it's not been our team MVP is going to be 20 kids because every kid on our roster has really contributed, right? And it's a special team because you don't really have some teams you can take one or two kids and shut them down, or it's that line. All three of our lines were kind of that line this year. So,
yeah. What do you think are the key ingredients to a successful team? Because you mentioned you got to have a third line. You've had a lot of intangibles too, but for you guys, when you get in that moment, when you're in the same locker room, because there can be some other thoughts. You're in the same locker room that you were a year ago, playing against the same team. How did you get them to focus on the prize, on the process and not what happened in the past? How did your coaches and you do that?
Yeah, I think you just want to, I mean, you don't want to like dwell on the past, but I think you just remind them, like, do you remember what it felt, how your heart was ripped out last year, what that feeling was like and how long it took to recover? Well, you have a chance to redeem that this year. And so you give a little taste of it, but not dwell onto it and just, really pump it up then from there, that this is a chance to, make history. This is a chance to be legendary and change everything for Southern Minnesota, your life, everything you've done in our entire program, all in one hockey game. So it's kind of getting that, that energy and that belief again. And this was their goal. So, take it now. This is your opportunity because it doesn't come back around again. So
the world has been waiting to find out this answered. Not many people know about it, but the ones that do are wondering. Who called you on the bench during overtime of the championship game, and what made you think you should answer it in that moment?
Exactly. Well, we don't have the luxury of having TV or nobody's telling us anything. It's silent down there, right? I've got Zoe Heimer, who I believe is going, she's coach. It was in, they pulled it out. The thing is in, you got to throw the flag for the replay. I'm like, Zoe, you don't have a flag, so I said, they're going to probably review it here. So at that moment, right, you're kind of looking, nothing's on the Jumbotron. My phone rings and I look down and it's Buck Achiever, Lakeville North coach, right? So Buck's coach up there forever, a good buddy of mine. And, he's, when he's calling, I was like, okay, maybe he's here, press box, doing all tournament. He's probably somewhere on TV, but he probably has some insight. He just right away calls up and says, hey, I want to call you first. You guys are state champs. I saw it. It's in the net. The net's on, the net's on. The whistle didn't blow. There's no goalie interference. He goes, you guys are state champions. He used a couple of helping verbs and was very excited for us. So he was all over it, right? So I said, well, we'll see, Buck. I said, to be determined, but I said, I appreciate the call. He goes, no, I watched this thing. I got it on TV. I see it. And he goes, they pulled it out. It's all the way across. He's like, there's no way that they can reverse this, right? So I said, well, we'll see shortly, and so then a little bit after I hung up the phone, then they showed the replay on the Jumbotron, right, which showed the play take place from the overhead. And then I think once you see that, you still kind of sit and wait until you see that signal. Once that once you saw the signal from the official, it was like, mad chaos. I think a lot of people forgot stuff after that, and the piano fell off the back, right? It was just that big sense of relief. And my first reaction was best timeout I ever took in my life, right? So to kind of get a couple plays set and refocused and get out of there before the Zamboni came on again. So,
Yeah. Wow. So cool. Um, Again, congratulations. We could sit here. I mean, if we cracked a bottle of wine, a couple of beers, we could be here for a number of hours.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
I I I have some intel that I want to kind of try to share with people out there, but um that I acquired. So you after the game. The video that I got was your team and parents and younger siblings hanging out around the pool. All your players had their gray sweatsuits on, and all of a sudden, Coach Jeremy comes in, walking into the pool area. A lot of hooraying and stuff like that. What happened next? What was that moment? Did you guys talk about meeting at the pool after you won?
No, there is no talking of anything. That was quite the. We came back and finished a couple of media talks on the bus, right, and got the team off. And I didn't have any clue they were even in the pool area, right? So we kind of come back in. They're like, "Finally, you're off the phone. Get in here." I'm like, "Get in where?" So they start escorting me. Like everybody's going in the pool. I'm like, "I'm not going in the pool." And they're like, "Yes, you are." So finally, after some persuasion, right, the whole team with the same jacket on, everything else, pants on. We all went and took a dive as a team in the pool and got pictures in there with the state champ with parents and all the siblings were around and the team did. I guess they call it the team celebration diving. I don't know. They had some name for it that we had to do, but yeah, I figured if they won a state championship, they could persuade me to hop in at that point. So I went along with it.
Well, I watched that video and I have to be honest with you, a little tear came rolling down the side of my face. So that was pretty cool. uh, Dude, thank you. This has been so fun. Is there anything else that you want to add before I wrap this thing up?
No, I just was for me. I thought it was really great to see the community support. Right, I think that's one thing that's really nice about smaller towns is how they travel. I saw Northfield the state tournament, the size crowd they brought. Great to see that whole lower bowl on that side packed with school officials. Even our basketball coach, who's it's the same winter sport, was there. Big band right from the people and people just that aren't even from Cass Manville Byron just up there on that side supporting. So just a big shout out to the community for the support they had. We were, escorted in, up and back by the police and fire department, which was awesome, and a huge welcome party coming back in. So just there's nothing like community-based hockey. So for those coaches out there and people that are doing the way that you have to organically in a small town, when you get there, the reward is unbelievable because of the support and the people that come out and back it is unbelievable. So
I think you just answered it, but why do you keep giving your heart and soul to the game and that community long after your daughter's retired from hockey?
yeah, I know, crazy question, right? You get that portion every year. You kind of like, well, maybe I'll be done, and then the parents and the kids come up to you and they talk in your postseason interviews, and they always kind of give you the I'll put the work in as long as I know you're there to have my back and coach it. Kind of that conversation piece. So I always figure as long as it's fun right now and the kids are excelling and it's competitive and getting better. And then on the side, it's just fun coaching with former players. I got three former female assistants that aren't able yet to kind of grab the reins, but are doing a good job of helping out. And our coaching staff's a lot of fun, right? We've got 9 different coaches that help out, and so it's a lot of it's just seeing these kids get better. They become better people. The growth. I'm competitive. I still like to win, right? So and have kids excel to get their dreams come true going to the college game and then and again it's just fun being around that staff, right? So I think if they start kind of pulling the pin, I wouldn't be around after that as well. So I mean it's been while this group's going, it's been fun to be with them. So
Here's something from one of your parents. Will you switch to coaching youth boys if your grandson James gets interested in the game?
would I go? Of course, I'm gonna be around my grandson for sure. I mean, there's no way. I'm a family, type. This team's like my family, but I'll be definitely helping him up coming up to the ranks. So if I'm still coaching girls high school hockey while he's getting ready to play hockey, there's something wrong. Anyways, I'm getting too old and out of shape. So
I
I'll
always
have to do
said
some more
that
training if I'm going to keep doing it.
the ice, I can't do that anymore. But I always like lessons at my house. I'm gonna do lessons as long as I can until someone says you drooled a little too much during the lesson today, Lance. You got to go away. So, all right, I want to end this, my man, on a little quote from something on behalf of your parents. So, let me read this to you. Gunderson is so deserving of Coach of the Year award. He's gotten the past 2 seasons. He is such a student of the game, watching endless hours of videos and developing game plans to compete against the best teams in the state. He fights hard to give us a schedule that will push and develop the team. He is a huge advocate for all his players if their goal is to play after high school. He is the most dedicated coach I know. He showed up to check in players for HP practice on Sunday night. She said, I literally saw him at Gramarita at 8:30 p.m. Sunday night, the night of the tournament, the weekend of the tournament. So Saturday night, you had all your deal and you're over there checking in kids for the HP. Yep. He had not even been home yet. Who cares about the growth of girls hockey in southern Minnesota that much? Gundy does. He makes sure his players volunteer with youth hockey and he shows up at all the fundraisers for the team. That's from one of your parents. Mr. Gunderson, this show has come to an end. That was pretty cool what I just read for you. First, let me thank you for taking the time and sharing your hockey journey, and what a cool story for you and Dodge County, your coaches, the parents, the team, the community, everyone. Second, congratulations to you for, again, winning that state championship, well-deserved. And finally, thank you for, just continuing to improve the game of hockey. You inspired me just by your enthusiasm. I said that the first time that I met you at the expo, but what really impresses me is how you just continue to try to help others reach a higher level in the sport, teaching them that it's all in all of us. We just got to tap into it and massage it and polish it, and you don't know what can happen, but you supported them in every aspect of getting better at hockey, but getting better at life, and to give each of these individuals the best opportunities to succeed. So, my man, if there's anything I can do to assist you in what you have going on, please don't hesitate to ask. Congratulations, Jeremy, on your first state championship, and thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me on. We'll be talking shortly because we got to start planning the off-season workout program, so I appreciate it.
I mean, we're not even, 5 or 6 days after you won the championship, and you mentioned that, but you had texted me. I congratulated you, and you're like, yeah, we got to get ready for next season, so let's get working on that. So, yeah. Dude, I hope that you're going to go to lunch and have a beer with a couple buddies, and, just you've done good, and just thanks for being part of the game, man. You found it a certain way, and it is so much better because you are a part of it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Lance.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Hockey Journey Podcast. I can't thank you enough for stopping by and listening. I hope you enjoyed hearing the incredible evolution of the Dodge County Girls High School Hockey Program and how they made history by winning their first ever state championship. Congratulations, everyone. Well deserved. Lastly, if you think there's someone in your circle of family and friends that might like this episode as well, please share it with just one person. It will really help me in growing this hockey community. Again, I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or submit a review. I hope to see you back here soon, and do me a favor, make someone close to you smile today. All the best, my friends.